Hello, I'm Jim Jamieson from Province Sports, and today we're going to hit some Canucks talking points as they head off on a 3-game road trip to California. So first of all, let's talk about Schneider. A lot of concerns, obviously, after the first game of the season. You know, he was beaten 7-3 by the Anaheim Ducks and gave up 5 goals and 14 shots to start the game. Was pulled for Luongo. Not a great start, but obviously with this crazy shortened season, the quick run up to the games, really not getting a chance to really get in the groove, understandable. And I think he calmed a lot of Canucks fans, certainly last night in the game. That 3-2 shootout win over the Calgary Flames. Played much better, particularly in the second half of the game, I thought, and was really good in the shootout. So Schneider gets to start against the Ducks, and I think the key for him is to carry it on. And I think he would like nothing better than to have a good game, bounce-back game against the Ducks. Okay, our next talking point would be about the Sedins, Daniel and Henrik. Interesting start for the season to them in the sense that they've looked good, but they haven't looked great. And at times they haven't even looked good, I would say. Alain Vigneault, made a comment after the game last night where to the fact that he hasn't seen their best, and I think that's an understatement. They could certainly play a lot better than that. And I think certainly the power play, the team hasn't had the dynamics on the power play that you usually see when they're out there with the first unit, and I think that's certainly a big part of why the power play is buried deep in the league when it's usually near the top. Now it's early yet. I realize it's only 3 games, but if you look at the play of the team throughout the lineup, I would say the Sedin brothers have probably been 2 of the bigger disappointments in terms of their play, and with Ryan Kesler out, they're going to need to generate offense, and I think they need to step their game up, and we need to just see a little bit more out of them. So I think heading on this road trip is going to be key for them to kind of become more dominant as they can be. So next talking point would it sort of carries along from my previous one about the Sedins in the sense of we're talking about Kassian here and the way he's played the last couple of games since he was promoted onto that first line. I think there were some people who maybe wondered whether he was ready for that kind of a role at this point in his career. He's still a very young player, 22 years old. But, Kassian has obviously embraced it, and I don't know whether training with them for several weeks during the summer has anything to do with it, but, he's shown a lot of poise out there. He hasn't been perfect, but he's been a nice addition, and I thought against the Flames he was very, very good. And certainly with his shootout goal, but just generally speaking, he seemed to be really picking up on where to go, where to be when he's out there, even strength with the Sedins. And even I thought even the previous game against the Oilers, he showed pretty well when he was thrown up on that line, and clearly he asked Ben Eager to drop the gloves in that scrap because of. Obviously, it was something to come back on after Eager had run Daniel Sedin earlier in the game, which is what you need with that line. You want the Sedins to be comfortable out there, not having their heads in the swivel worrying about being taken out. So, I think Kassian's been a real pleasant surprise, but I don't think that we should get too carried away at this point. Again, it's early in the season, and just give the kid a little bit of space to grow, and don't put too much pressure on him. But I think it's a really good sign early on that he's going to be a very good player. The last thing today out at UBC, the Canucks had their practice before they headed off to California. Max Lapierre, fourth-line center, was not at practice. We're told that he's got a sore groin, and doesn't everybody in the league have a sore groin with this wacky schedule and the quick run-up? But apparently he is not, it's not considered all that serious, and that he's basically given the day off to rest it and take treatment, and he's expected to take the morning skate tomorrow in Anaheim, and is expected to play. Obviously, if it flares up or gives him some trouble, he won't play. But the team say they expect him to play, so it looks like no lineup changes for the game against Anaheim, with Schneider getting his second straight start.